Do you believe that with just an old electrical plug like this, we can turn it into a working soldering tool? It may sound hard to believe, but today I'm going to transform this simple object into something useful. Let's go step by step through the process of disassembly, assembly, and testing to see if this homemade soldering tool can actually work. First, I will make the power wire for the soldering tool. I start by stripping the end of the wire to expose the copper core inside. Then, I separate the copper core into two branches and twist them together. Next, I attach the copper wire to the metal terminals of the plug. After that, I use a screwdriver to tighten the screws and secure the wire firmly. Once the internal connections are complete, I reassemble all the parts of the plug back into their original position. Let me know where you are watching this video from. Don't forget to comment the country you are currently living in down below. I'm really curious to see which parts of the world my videos are being watched from. At this point, the basic power wiring for the homemade soldering tool is complete and ready for the next assembly step. Next, I strip the other end of the wire to create another connector. Here, I use a metal rivet as the connector for the wire. This rivet helps create a strong electrical contact point and makes it easier to connect and disconnect. I twist the end of the plug wire around the metal rivet to secure them together. In the next step, I use two metal cores taken from a terminal block to act as the connectors between the plug terminals and the soldering tip. These metal cores will serve as bridges to transfer electricity directly to the soldering tip. After that, I firmly attach these two metal cores to the two terminals of the plug. Next, I make the ground wire for the soldering system. I also connect one end of another wire to a metal rivet to create a connector similar to the main power wire. At the other end of this wire, I attach an alligator clip. This clip will help hold the object firmly and provide a stable electrical contact during the soldering process. Next, I reuse an old battery to make the soldering tip. First, I use pliers to remove the outer metal casing of the battery. Then, I use needle nose pliers to grip the inner core and gently twist it out. This inner core is the conductive material that I will use to create the soldering tip. Next, I clean the core with a paper towel to remove dirt and any remaining residue. After cleaning, I attach the core to a drill for shaping. Next, I turn on the drill and press the tip against a piece of sandpaper to sharpen it. Sharpening the soldering tip improves precision when working on small solder points. I prepare 2 lead cores like these to make the main soldering tips for the system. These 2 lead cores will act as the parts that directly contact the material being soldered and transfer heat during operation. I firmly attach these 2 lead cores to the 2 metal terminals of the plug. At this point, my homemade soldering tool is complete. I will use the battery from a cordless drill as the power source for the soldering system. First, I connect the soldering tool wire to the positive terminal of the battery. Then, I connect the negative terminal to the ground wire to complete the circuit. As soon as I touch the soldering tip to the metal clip, sparks appear immediately and the tip heats up very quickly. For the first test, I solder 2 wires together. First, I twist the 2 wire ends together to create the initial contact point. Next, I attach the clip to the joint and touch the soldering tip to begin soldering. Within just a few seconds, the copper core heats up rapidly and the solder melts evenly around the joint. Now, I pull both ends of the wire strongly in opposite directions to test the strength. As you can see, the joint remains intact without coming loose. For the next test, I will weld 3 razor blades together to check the heat performance and strength of this homemade soldering tool. As you can see, this DIY project has worked successfully. Using only old components that seemed useless, we were still able to create something practical and functional. It shows that with a little creativity and patience, discarded items can still have second life. If you enjoyed this project or found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. That support motivates me to continue creating more creative DIY projects in the future. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.